Hey everyone, Danny here. I felt really, really compelled to jump on really quick before we get into today's episode, since I am a Colorado local and native. If you have been paying attention to the news at all, if you live in Colorado, I'm sure you're very aware of what's going on. But this week, not only did we experience yet another absolutely senseless, tragic shooting in Denver that killed, I believe, 5 people, that absolutely devastated the tattoo and art community in our beautiful town of Denver. We are also experiencing a massive, it's the most devastating, the most destructive fire in Colorado's history going on right now. It's over 1,600 acres. We are getting close to 600 plus homes already that have been verified lost. Tens of thousands of people are evacuated, and it's just so heartbreaking to see and hear what's going on. So it's New Year's Eve. This is a really powerful episode. I am really excited for you to hear it. I also still felt so compelled to jump on here and bring some awareness to the situation. So in the description below, especially if you are local, I will include different links and resources, okay, for updates, evacuation updates, as well as links for any kind of donations that get set up, anything like that. And then for anybody else that is, whether you're local to Colorado or not, if you're just looking to help, I will post all different kinds of links and resources in the show notes here so you can find the way that best fits your situation, your lifestyle, your budget to reach out and offer help in any way that you can. So thank you all so much for taking the time to listen to this. Thank you so much for even just any kind of healing, positive energy that you can send our way out here. It is so greatly appreciated. And now on to today's episode. I'm Danny, that witch next door, and you're listening to That Witch Podcast. Everybody, welcome back. Welcome to another week and another episode here at That Witch Podcast, the last episode of the year, my loves. Today is not only special because of that, today is special because it is time for another Shadow Chats episode, and I am joined by the amazing Ashley. Hello.
Hello. How are you?
I'm good. How are you feeling today?
I'm doing good. I'm feeling good.
Me too.
Been a year.
It's been a fucking year.
The year of the Hierophant is over, darling.
That makes a lot of sense. So yeah. I saw you post about that on your Instagram. Mm-hmm. Where did you pull that card? Where did you?
So,
tell us about that.
Yeah. So cards of the year, it's really simple. You're adding the numbers up of the year until you get to a single digit. And then you're going to get to the card of the year. That's it. So 2021, 2, 4, and 1 is 5. So 2022 is 6, year of the lovers. You do the same thing to find your soul card. So to find your soul card, you're going to add up your birthday and your birth month and your birth year until you get to a single digit. Yeah.
Okay.
And then put it together. Yep. Until you get to a single digit. And then to find your card of the year, you do the same thing, but instead of your birth year, you do the year that you're working with. Does that make sense?
But your birthday still?
Your birthday still. So for example,
amazing. I love that.
Yeah. So my card of the year for 2022. So we've established 2022 is a 6th year, right? Mm-hmm. And then my birthday is 12/3. So that's 3, 6. So then we're at 12. And then 1 plus 2 is 3. I'm in an Empress year.
Oh, my Cancer rising. Oh my God.
I love that. I didn't know that until just now.
Card.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I love that. Oh, I'm excited for that. I hope all of you are like furiously writing this down and calculating yours.
I know. We didn't know we were going there. We just kind of went there. But
no, but I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
I spent so much of this year really developing like my business and my business education. And I have been so beautifully called back to my cards and my stars in the last couple of weeks. And like, literally dusted off my decks, and
amazing.
It just feels so good. So I'm so thank
like
you.
You're home.
I'm so excited. Yes. Oh, exactly.
Yes.
Like, I absolutely love that comfort feeling. Working with cards should feel comfortable, everybody.
Yeah.
It should definitely feel comfortable. I'm excited because we are going to be doing a little bit more tarot today. So make sure you stick around for that. But first and foremost, Capricorn. I love Capricorn. How do you feel about Capricorn?
I love Capricorn. So it's interesting that you say that. When I first started diving deeper into my astrological journey, so like when it became more than just guessing people's sun signs and telling them who they're compatible with, I would probably say that switch happened in my early 20s. And I always had this like, not disdain for Capricorn, but, you know, as a Sagittarius, Cap and Sag energy are so different.
So different.
So different. So they weren't really my fave. And it was when I started to dive deep into my birth chart. Everybody should really do a deep dive into their birth chart. And I found this lovely stellium I have in Capricorn. Did I start to recognize some of these Capricornian traits that have gotten me to where I am now?
Yep.
You know, I developed an appreciation for Capricorn energy, for the goat. And I love Capricorn today. Very much so.
I totally agree. I had some run-ins with some really, really unevolved Capricorn and Leo energy for the majority of my adolescence, I would say, and felt very bitter towards that toward both of those energies for a really long time. Started studying astrology, found the Leo rising and the Capricorn stellium. And that's the beautiful part. That's why it's so important to do the deep dive into your chart, because usually when you do have that bitter taste in your mouth toward an energy or toward a sign, there's a reason, there's something that you're avoiding there. There's a lesson, like an opportunity to be learned. And that was so true for me.
Yeah. So true. So true.
Yeah. This to me, this energy is so wise. I love that Capricorn is referred to as the sage. I find Capricorn moon in general, to be one of the most harmonious signs that the moon can be in. I like on a collective level. I notice that most people vibe on a Capricorn moon. I myself adore Capricorn moon every cycle.
I mean, if we take a second to stop and think about like how you're feeling or how the collective energy is on Capricorn new moon or full moon, we're not talking, you know, Scorpio moons. Everybody's online like, fuck, what's going on? And then, you know, like Capricorn moons, there is this gentleness in the air, this somberness almost, where we're just like, let's do this, you know?
Exactly.
Cool.
Exactly. That it's very calming to me. So this is a special and really powerful new moon, obviously, because not only is it at the start of a calendar year, but it's in this wise sign of Capricorn. So off of the bat, Ash, I want you to tell us, what is your personal, for you, for StarSeedShadows, what is your vision for 2022, and where are you headed this year in your path?
Go big or go home, baby. I am fucking ready for 2022. I just got out of an 8th house perfection year, you know, business, shadow work, other people's money. Saturn ran right over my North Node just a little while ago. Finally got the fuck over it. And, you know, it's been a lot of expansion for me. And now I'm sitting in this 9th house perfection year. Expansion, being bigger, thinking bigger, doing more, thinking deeper. And as we're moving into 2022, I see the vision for my business and for StarSeedShadows. And also, you know, we're in Capricorn season. So that stellium is hyper fucking activated, you know? So it's not like I have to work. It's like I want to work, and I need to work, and it's part of my soul mission to work. And I know that my work is going to touch so many souls, and they're going to be blessing others with work too, with the work that they do, and just seeing the ripple effect of the collective and this new earth energy that's coming through has been a beautiful experience. And I don't think 2022 is going to be any different.
Yeah. I love that. Perfectly said. Yeah. That was one of the first things you ever said to me that resonated with me so much. When we did that very, very first reading, and we talked about Capricorn, and I actually have struggled with a lot of guilt about how much I enjoy working.
Yeah.
Enjoy it. Enjoy it.
Get that all tingly and shit.
Yeah. Burning the midnight oil.
Seriously.
Yes.
Yeah. I know what you mean.
And I've always appreciated that, like, permission to enjoy it. To just like lean into that and embody that, and like step into that, like step into your CEO self. You know what I mean?
CEO
like,
self, exactly.
Fuck yes.
I mean, think about it. How many people get to say that we enjoy working and we enjoy what we do, you know? So sitting in that pocket of gratitude, which sometimes I think Capricorn can forget because they do get so wound up in work and like proving themselves that they like, hey, hold on, I'm actually doing pretty amazing today. Let me pat myself on the back, you know? Being able to do that for ourselves, I think, is just a reminder, you know, we're sitting in the pocket of exactly where we're supposed to be, which is an amazing feeling.
I completely agree. I really want, so obviously highlighting a bit of Capricorn shadow is this like pressure to produce, right? This pressure to be productive. And so
I like pressure to produce. Yeah.
Yeah. And so what is, when you are talking about being this like badass CEO witch, like when you look at your year ahead and you look at it with such confidence, what kind of like advice can you offer for people to tap into the strengths of this Capricorn season and set like realistic, that big dreamy goal without the, you know, the pressure of the resolutions and the expectations?
Always a few things here. Always come to your work from a place of love. You know, I'm sure a lot of people that are listening, I'm sure you've heard, you know, it all comes down to two emotions, man, fear and love. And that is something that I live by. It's something I teach my clients. It's something that I have to remember myself as a soul being here on earth. Sometimes when we get rooted in fear, sometimes when we feel that pressure to produce, we start moving out of fear and creating out of fear. And that will reflect in your work. That's why, you know, it's always said, you don't want to be like posting on Instagram when you're in a shitty mood. You don't want to be posting on Instagram out of like feeling like you have to, because it comes through. We are energetic beings and we vibe off other people's energy, whether or not you can say, oh, well, that person posted that when they weren't in the best mood. It doesn't really matter. It's feeling that vibe. You may not resonate it with that as much as you were to have had that person been in a great mood, you know? So that's one thing. The second thing, stay the fuck off Instagram. Like, you know, like get on there. Detox, you know, do what you got to do. But we spend so much time comparing, well, she's doing this, so I got to do this before she does this, or like, you know, like all of that stuff. So when you're sitting in that CEO energy, when you are in the process of creating, allow yourself to create. That is my biggest thing for anybody listening, because Capricorn, one thing Capricorn does do really well is put the blinders on. They are in creation mode. They are working. They are busy. They may be working for that validation, sure, but they're really good about putting the blinders on and going to work. And we can't work a little bit and then compare what Susie's fucking doing and then say, well, that's a good idea. Let me do this better, you know?
Yeah.
So that's what I would say when it comes to that.
I love that. I think that Capricorn so it's already got a lot of natural focus and concentration. And you need to be mindful about where that goes.
Right.
Because it is so fucking easy to spiral, because Capricorn's so climbing based, so climbing and like building mindset and approach to everything. Yes.
Yeah.
This is where that natural comparison comes from. It makes sense.
Right.
They're data collectors, right?
Yeah.
This is why they're Saturn ruled. They're really data collectors. But how easily does the goat trap itself in the garden, totally glass ceiling itself because it's either lost in a comparison cycle, or this is where we see shadow of Capricorn is slimy business practices, right? Like unethical, any kind of unethical sales or business strategies. This is where we also see that. So that's where it's all about using the power for good, that sage wisdom, using, I love that you remind us of where you're operating from, fear or love, because that's how you'll see how you're using that superpower. Now, speaking of the sage, speaking of wisdom and foresight, I have to, everybody. I can't help it. Sorry. So what kind of vibes do you have for us as a collective for 2022? Dare I bring up the dreaded US Pluto return that just has everyone pissing their pants? And I'm not saying it's not big. And I'm not saying it's not warranted. I get it. I just feel like there is I see let me preface it this way. I've noticed as a collective, as humans, seasonally, biologically, every year at this time of year, there's this doomsday complex. Every year. I think it's because the calendar year is coming to an end. We're going into the dark half. We're going into the winter. Things literally are coming to an end. So it feels, if you go back in history, I want to remind everybody, if you go back in history, every year around this time, I can always find terrifying aspects for you everywhere. So I do want to, before I get your answer, I do want to say that I am saying that this is a big, big transit. It is. It's massive. But I want to hear from you because I know you're not going to tell us to lean into all this fucking fear mongering that I think we're all seeing.
Fuck no. I'm not going to tell you to do that at all. No. Fear mongering pisses me the fuck off.
Thank you.
It really does. Like, not to change it too much, but all this shit with the goddamn vaccine, I'm so fucking over it. Like, if you guys don't act like you're fucking light worker selves right now and say the fuck out of that goddamn nonsense, it's nonsense. Why are we entertaining it?
Yep.
Anyways, so, fucking Pluto. So, let's break it down a little bit. What does Pluto do? Pluto is their planet of transformation. It's their planet of death and rebirth. I always envision this like Joker type entity when working with Pluto. Like I feel like if I were to make Pluto like humanistic almost. Pluto's like this person that like puts a banana peel on the floor and like hides and watches you slip. And then they're laughing and kikiing at you. And then they said, I did that so you can learn to watch where you're going. Like that's kind of how I envision Pluto. Pluto just really likes to fuck with you. I feel like in order for you to make it better, in order for you to do better, to think higher, to be more. Saturn is more direct in the way that it fucks with you, I feel like. Now, Pluto's generational. Yeah. Pluto's generational and Pluto takes forever to move. I know a lot of us, especially people that are listening, are all Pluto and Scorpio type people. So that's a whole nother thing. It's going to be change, honey. That's that's it. We're in year of the lovers, coming into 2022. So there's this overarching theme of understanding balance between our divine masculine and divine feminine, and also making the hard choices. And then when you have this US Pluto return coming in, this is what we've been gearing up for. The reason why I mentioned that Pluto is generational was because these generational bodies take fucking forever to move. And we feel their energies as they come up and we feel their energies as they go down. So, COVID, this huge fucking purge that we've been going through. Then we're dealing with, BLM happening and all of these really monumental moments in history that we have had the privilege to live through, understand ourselves better through, and hopefully find some sort of coming together and pulling together through. We're going to see themes just like this as we move into this Pluto return, probably for the next decade or so.
Agreed.
The US is going through like a facelift, a revamp, whether or not we're ready for it, it's happening. So the best advice I have for, anybody listening is just keep your spiritual fucking game on lock and don't play a scared game. That's what it comes down to. If you want something, if you desire something, how are you going to do it? If you want to sit in this pocket of just these negative feedback loops and doing the same things you've always been doing, that's your prerogative, babe. But don't expect for your life to live up to its potential. Don't expect for your soul to get there as we move through this change. That's kind of where I'm at. It's what we make of it. Yeah.
Yes. So that last sentence. So I'm a daughter and patron of Hades. So I work with Pluto a fuck ton.
Yeah. I'd love to hear your take on Pluto.
So that's what I was going to say is when you said that last statement, that is the energy of Pluto to me, is when you were describing the energy as you see it, that is exactly aligned with how I see it too. And that's why working with this planet more than most others is particularly about perspective, because that's what shadow work is. And as the planet of shadow work, that really, really, you can, and it comes back to the fear and love thing. You can perceive those lessons, those teachings, those events, those Plutonian events that you have to experience as dark and twisted and morbid, right? Or you can, embrace the duality, the dualistic nature of it, that maybe there had to be a planet like Saturn that had to sign up for the hard shit, because that's what our existence is.
Right.
It's not all light. It's both. It's the light and the dark. And so we needed that dualistic style of planet to me. We needed that kind of, it gets you to embrace the whole ride. It gets you to embrace the whole entire spectrum.
Yeah.
And that's great and that's beautiful, but that's difficult. And that's why most people are fucking terrified of this planet and fucking terrified of its lessons. I think that, and this all just leads into my next question anyways, by the way, which is your advice for the doomsday mindset that can accompany predictive astrology and tarot. It's one of the hardest challenges that I find helping clients through is really getting locked in on certain parts of their chart or on certain readings and being revealed certain truths. Just so you know, everybody, this is big for major water placements. A big lesson you choose to learn in this life is how to deal with hard emotions. So that's why that's a big theme is specifically having to accept things like loneliness and rejection and death and abandonment and all the shittiness. You're going to pull readings. You're going to look in. You're going to look at your Chiron. You're going to go look at shit that's going to knock you on your ass sometimes and freak you out a little bit. How do you maintain and how do you recommend people maintain a sense of what I personally call both trust and control, but not, not toxic control. That's not what I mean.
I know what you mean. Ooh, deep question. So what I tell my clients, what I tell myself, and what I'm going to tell any of the listeners here is we're all reflections of Source. We are all fragments of Source. And Source wants, desires to experience contrast here on Earth School. So, and we do, as above, so below. There's a reason why that's the number one rule of witchcraft. Our planet is a planet of contrast, up, down, hot, cold, heavy, skinny, sad, happy. This is what our planet is. It's a planet of duality. So when it comes to those rough experiences and emotions that we can pick up on in the birth chart, or that may come up in a tarot reading, or that you just go through on a regular basis, it's up to you as a being of light energy to recognize that you are a being who is able to experience contrast, because there literally would not be one without the other. You couldn't know infinite happiness, infinite warmth, if you didn't know what cold felt like. This is how this school is made up. And this is what we're here to learn, however we identify. Whether we identify as human, witch, starseed, doesn't really matter. This is what we're here to learn as a collective. And I think that's why we've been experiencing such darkness over the last couple of years, in preparation for light, in preparation for an evolution, in preparation for ascension, if you will. And ascension only really is connecting with our higher selves. Hopefully some of us with our highest of highest self, and we just continue moving forward in that way.
I love that.
Yeah.
I think that, I've learned, like, one of my cards that was just a regular theme for me this year was Hanged Man.
Yeah.
And there's a reason I keep coming back to trust and coming back to surrender, because it's a reason I identify so much with being a pagan witch and a seasonal witch and these cycles and and astrology and a cosmic witch. Like, I am so cyclical, like, in my functioning and operations. And you'll find most of us are. Because we're beings of these cycles.
These cycles. It's beautiful to see the cycles of the earth and see how much they play a role in our lives. We are cyclical.
When you really,
and dual.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And when you really embrace it, when you lean in, you do start to lose the fear. You do start to operate from the place of love. You do start realizing the divine lesson in everything, and therefore the divine growth in every divine lesson. And I don't know how many times I remind people, and it's so true. I don't care if you're a witch. I don't care if you're a business person that's never heard this podcast before on the other side. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Everyone in this world has experienced this scenario where something happened disguised as loss, right? Where you thought you lost something or you messed up on something, right? And it ended up being the quote unquote blessing in disguise.
Yep.
That is the divine lesson and the divine growth right there before your eyes. So why don't you make a choice in your perspective? Because we create our own reality.
Literally.
That means something. That's not some toss aside fact.
We create our own reality.
You get to
choose it every day.
Spirit, we get, that was a gift.
We are the magician. We are the alchemist. It's always been us. Always been us. Yeah.
I've been obsessed with this little concept the last few episodes. And I want to ask you this last thing before we hop into our tarot.
Yeah.
I was talking about the ace and the king in any suit. The beginning and the end, the student and the master. I brought in the magician to it. What is the definition of a true master? If we know that we're always growing,
I love how deep we're going today.
I
love
knew
it.
we would. I was on the calendar and I was like, when's the Capricorn new moon? And I was like,
I love it. Especially on the new year, having these very beautiful conversations to get the gears going about intentions and goals and what we deserve and all of that. What was your question before I get on my tangent? My soapbox.
Can you ever truly be a master knowing that we're always also a student?
Ooh.
I think people get obsessed with that. You know what I mean?
I think they do too. And I think Capricorn does too. I see why the question. My honest answer, again, coming from a Sag sun, Jupiter in the first, no. And why would you want to be? Why would you want the learning to stop? Can we teach others? Of course. Can we teach others who yearn to learn more? Sure. But I always want to have, people in my corner that are learning and growing with me. So I'm like 3 of Pentacles just popped into my head, you know?
I love that.
Yeah. You know, just so
Yes.
like we can learn from each other and bounce ideas off each other and be in this space of co-creation with one another. That's the beauty in living, not necessarily the mastery of it. And that I think is a lesson that Capricorn, you know, lower vibe Capricorn is still trying to get.
Oh,
but
yeah.
like I said before, Capricorn just wants to master so they can get the validation. That's how Capricorn thinks that they get love.
Right.
They feel like they get love.
For accomplishment.
Exactly.
Yep.
You know, and as I've said before on this podcast, to anybody listening, I'm not Capricorn shaming. We all have lower vibrations of ourselves we need to work through.
Absolutely. Exactly. And that's coming from two witches that, I mean, generally have quite the soft spot for Capricorn, but they're still going to be exactly these shadow aspects. It's so important, everyone, that we have these kinds of conversations, that we start this kind of intellectual expansion. Do you know what I really think? Do you know I really think about this Pluto return? Regardless of what I think will happen, here's what I think you should do. Is we are clearly at a time, just pure historically speaking, okay, not even cosmically, things have been going in a way for a long time that's clearly not working.
Correct.
For 250 years, for the exact
Snaps
amount
on
of
that.
Pluto. Yep, there you go. Okay, so first of all, we've had things going that way for a very, very, very long time. We know that we are entering and becoming into our age of Aquarius, right? We know that specifically this is the tearing down of old structures, old traditions, old systems. This is specifically progress, innovation oriented. So let me tell you this. Now is the time to start just in general expanding your thinking. It's not about ascending and bypassing your own fucking experience. When we talk about expanding, we mean think outside the box. Have the courage and the bravery and do the work yourself to think outside your conditioning. Make a choice to research outside the things you're told to only look at. When you see something getting censored over and over and over again, you need to question why. It's time to question authority. It's time to anyone that tells you it's dangerous to ask questions, that's a dangerous person.
Check the shit out of everybody.
Yes.
It is.
Period. I don't care where you're from. Yes.
That's how we learn. And that's how, like you said so beautifully, we break down this fucking conditioning that, you know, has had us in this loop for fucking ever. That's what it comes down to, you know?
Yes.
What we were doing wasn't working. That's been shown. And it's showing.
It's going to change.
Right? We're caught with our pants down as a collective here in America. And now it's time to pull them back up. And I think this Pluto return might feel worse before it gets better.
I agree.
But this is the work we're here to do.
Yeah. It's that long-term example of the blessing in disguise. It will feel like, I just read this in my rune book, and I can't remember which rune I pulled, but it was of transformation. It was rune number 5. Uruz, I believe, everybody. It was of death and rebirth. It's of cycles and changing. It was, I pulled it 2 days ago. I was like, well, this makes perfect sense. And it said, be on the lookout for opportunity disguised as loss. And I fucking love that phrase.
I love that. I love that.
Pluto, because it's generational, like Ashley said, when we think of long, like slow moving planets, bigger, longer lasting effects, but they're not as obvious. They're slower.
They take
building.
longer.
Yes, exactly.
It's like 3 or 4 years down the road.
Exactly.
3 or 4 years down the road, you're like, oh shit, look at my life now and look at what it was then. And then you're damn, it's been a long road.
Yes, exactly. What will happen, and this is why I keep reminding everybody, that's why I'm like, please stop dreading days. Please stop looking at an aspect and thinking the fucking world is going to end that day. It doesn't work that way. A chord gets struck. The alignment happens that day. That doesn't mean, trust me, Pluto does not work that way. This is not, even Uranus, which isn't like the fastest moving planet, even that is more striking than Pluto. This will be building. And I think the same thing where this is more of a decade-ish thing. And we're going to look back over. So a lot of us, including Ashley and I, we just entered a new decade in the last couple of years. We're in our
Right.
early 30s, right? So we're in a
Mhm.
fresh decade ourselves.
Mhm.
And so we just spent the last couple of years reflecting on our past decade.
Right.
And so that's what I see. I'm like looking
What a
at
shit
this
show
in the
that
next,
was.
yeah, no shit, exactly. And exactly. And this is very like gonna be that blessing in disguise. You're gonna look back and be like, back in 2022, when I thought I was this
Seriously.
hot mess, when I thought everything.
Mhm.
Exactly. So I agree with Ash. This is about like, do your shit, do your work. Do you do your
That's it.
intuition strength
Right.
training? Do you do your physical strength training? Do
Like
you
what makes you feel good, you know? And that's what it comes
what
down
makes you
to.
feel strong? You
Not
got
you,
it.
what makes you feel good, not necessarily what makes you feel good in the moment, but what
Right.
gives you long term, what makes your body feel good, what makes your mind feel good. Is it
Exactly.
drinking tea or is it drinking a vodka soda? You know,
Seriously.
like these are the tough questions that we need to be asking ourselves, because sometimes we are so instant gratification sort of
I
people.
know.
And often we expect others to do it for us, or we sit there and we admire somebody else, but we're not doing anything in our lives to shake it the fuck up.
Yep.
So what makes you feel good, and go to that.
Hell yes.
Yeah.
There you will find your longevity and your
Yes.
sustainability. There you
Yes.
go. Exactly. All right.
Yes.
Everyone, I'm so excited because one of the things that I very first ever even followed Ashley for is I love how you read tarot. I love your tarot readings. You're always on point for me. If you follow Ashley, which you better already be doing that, anytime you're live, I hop on. I always make sure. I love catching anything that you have to say, especially when you have cards out. So I asked Ashley if she would like to shuffle with me and each of us pull a card or two. I think for 2022, I think we're looking
I'm
ahead.
here for
We've been
it.
really talking about looking ahead. I think that Capricorn would enjoy that a little bit.
I
And
think so,
actually
too.
not last episode, but last week, I did a fun 2021 reflection spread for everybody. Which was really
Ooh, I
fun.
love that.
I like doing reflections. Yeah. I've got Saturn in the 5th. I do a lot of reflecting. It's my
That'll do it.
Yeah. Everybody, I really invite you wherever you're sitting, if you would like center your weight, whether you're sitting or standing. And if you feel called to close your eyes, please do so. If that's safe wherever you are, you can take a nice, big, deep breath in and let it out. Really make sure that you open yourselves up to truth, to the message that you need looking ahead here. This is so fun. We've never read cards together before.
I love
and I've
it.
always wanted to. I hate doing it with the mic. This is why I only do it on YouTube, just so everybody knows. I never shuffle with the mic in front of me.
Because it's like right there
like
for you.
off my game. Yeah.
Let's
see if anyone comes out.
If they just jump out at you.
Yeah. And you kind of take it away if you have anybody.
Yeah. Well, the first card that we pulled, my loves, is our Four of Stones, also known as the Four of Pentacles. Upside down, you know, our balance, our stability may be taken off kilter, but honestly, what's really coming through for 2022 is that it's something that maybe we're making up in our heads. That is to say, is change is the only constant. And that's one thing that I want you all to remember as you are listening and moving into 2022 and making plans, changes, whatever it is you're calling in. Changes are only constant. And sometimes we are very much creatures of habit. Our Four of Stones, Four of Pentacles is about such great balance and foundation and structure, rooted, right? Like think literally the word rooted and grounded, and coming in upside down, that energy is blocked. It's not coming through. Like I said, when I pulled the card and touched the card, the energy, the vibe that I got was it's literally almost like something of our own doing. Get out of your own fucking way. That's my point. Allow for change to come in, allow for it to come through. If it feels bad, remember that it's your narrative. is what I want to say. And it's your perspective. The card that comes in directly afterwards is our Three of Mirrors, also known as our Three of Cups, our abundance card. So do you see it's a story? So out of that shaken structure comes abundance. Out of that breakdown of what you knew comes this energy of having everything that you need. In the traditional Rider-Waite, the Three of Cups is the three women with their gold chalices cheersing up in the air. It's very much about celebration and having it all and partying, and we got here and we did this. So it's out of what you think isn't good for you. It's out of what you think isn't scary is where you see that silver lining, that rainbow, that celebration. So if things start feeling gloom entering into 2022, or if you get a surprise or if shit's not going your way, just understand that changes are only constant and your perspective of the situation is the result of the situation.
I love that.
Yeah.
I really, really love that. There's a lot of fear hoarding in the reversed Four of Pentacles like that. Definitely.
Lots of fear hoarding. Great way to put it.
Yeah. Like operating from that, like,
it's mine. Like I'm going to lose it.
Like scarcity mindset.
Scarcity, yeah.
So I pulled Judgment Reversed, which, if everybody remembers, this is like one of the last cards we also talked about a couple episodes ago. And then I pulled the Hierophant Reversed. So as soon as Judgment Reversed fell out, this is once again this big, like, not leaning on your spiritual gifts. This is this linked into that reversed Four of Pentacles instantly. This operating from this place of fear, of not just taking a step back and really, really recognizing everything that you do have. You have everything that you need already. I really see this big avoidance in Judgment Reverse, like a full-fledged, I refuse to look. And I really, really, really encourage you to have the strength that, again, you already have in you to do that. Because to me, when I see the Hierophant Reverse, where I'm thinking about Pluto return in 2022, I see this break in these traditions. I see this progress. I see this looking at these traditions and old systems in a new way. I do see that good 180 that we clearly need coming. I really, really do. But if your eyes are open, I think there's a lot of distraction going on right now, and it's working, and it's working really, really well.
I would have to agree with you.
We talk about the Matrix, and we talk like people, they're really turning up the distraction meter, okay? And it's working. And it's up to us to really, I loved that Three of Mirrors. I love that. That's so community. Juicy. That's all of us.
Coming together.
I fucking love that.
I saw the Four of Pentacles upside down. I'm like, and then the Three of Cups. I'm like, I see you. I see what's happening here.
Absolutely. Yeah. Listen, this is, I mean, I've already felt this way for the last couple of years. So some of us aren't surprised. Try not to be surprised, I should say. I see a topsy-turvy year coming.
Yeah.
I see unexpected shit.
More distractions for sure.
Yes. We have Uranus and Taurus, and the North Node's about to move into Taurus. Like, there's going to be, the name of the game is unexpected change. You think you can prepare for whatever it's going to be, and it's not going to be what you think it's going to be.
Right. And that's it.
Yeah.
And we have to be flexible. And we have to keep our spiritual game on point, doing our protection magic, surround ourselves with the people that we want to surround ourselves with.
Seriously.
You know, there's a reason why they say, you know, when you want to know somebody, meet the first 5 people they hang out with.
Yeah.
Guys, be careful who you're hanging out with. A lot of you listening are hanging out with some shitty ass people, and you know it.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. I'm serious. Do you know what? Do you think it's easy? Do you think it's easy putting your life into alignment? Do you think it's easy going through purges where you lose everybody? It's fucking hard. That's why I remind y'all every single time. I'm like, look, when I talk about alignment and transformation, I know it sounds nice. That's why Pluto, like everyone to me, you know what I always hear? I love that I have Pluto in Scorpio. I'm like, no, you don't.
No, you don't.
Say that.
That's just fucking rough.
Yes. And then you get the Pluto and Scorpio lesson, and that shit's hard.
It's rough. We're not even getting on the houses. Just in general, having Pluto and Scorpio.
Exactly. That's just one layer. That's one layer deep. Exactly.
Yeah.
So this really, I couldn't agree more. This is buffing up on your own spiritual protection and boundaries.
Yeah.
But that means people, whoever's in your spiritual, in your environment, community, they contribute to your energy.
They sure do.
If they bring weakness, you just have a chink in your armor as well.
Exactly.
You need to think of it that way. I'm serious. I'm serious. It's not about hurting feelings. It's about alignment.
It's rough. Sometimes, spirituality is lonely sometimes, and it is what it is. And you just have to realize that, those people that are kind of falling off or that need to fall off are supposed to, and they need to. You want to bring spiritual food into your awareness, and you want to get that spiritual food through not only what you're consuming online and through social media, but through your friend groups and your family members as well. We could probably do a whole episode on toxic family shit, but I'll probably do a whole episode on that.
We're Cancer Chirons. Yeah, we could probably do a pretty big episode on
We could talk about that all day. But
I love that. Spiritual food. That is so impactful. I want all of you to take that this New Year's Eve into the new year, into this Capricorn new moon. Remember this, not to be the Debbie Downer, but I know what tonight is. I know what tonight is. I know. But I want you to think about the chord you're striking tonight. Because we all count down. When we make that big, we put power and sacredness and divinity into that countdown because we all, right? We do. And that's fine. But then we treat it like trash, and we trash our bodies.
Literally.
We trash our minds. We hang out with trash people because we're like, I just don't want to be alone. I just don't want to be alone. So I should go be around the worst people. I'm telling you, if it's hard for you, I want you to take it from us two witches today. If you need to give yourself permission to back out of plans or to say no to what's Ashley said, what's not going to make you feel good. Right. Think about the spiritual food. I'm never going to stop. That just changed everything when you said that in my mind. That opened up so much perspective for me. Is we do so much goal work around what we eat. And our fitness, right? At this time of year. I want you all to take that into your spiritual goals too. What kind of energy are you consuming?
Yeah. We're just such instant gratification that I think that we forget, oh my God, I'm going to smoke this cigarette right now. But how does that actually make you feel? Because I know when I smoke a cigarette, I feel fucking lightheaded. I feel a little fucking wonky, a little weird. And only if I'm drinking could I smoke a cigarette. But then the drinking, is that making you feel good? For the moment, maybe sometimes in the moment. But who the next day is feeling fucking rainbows and unicorns after going out drinking? The ripple. So exactly. So it's literally ask yourself these questions, is getting that Big Mac going to actually make you feel good? Maybe for the moment, but let's talk long-term. Let's talk Capricorn energy. Let's talk Pentacle energy, the long-term effects of what you're doing right now, because the end goal is to be a better version of yourself.
Yes.
We can't do that chain smoking and eating Big Macs. And that's just the truth.
That's just the truth. Exactly. That's shadow chats. That's the truth. That's what we bring. Sorry, not sorry.
Literally. Sorry, not sorry. I'm all for every now and again, but we are abusing all of this shit, all of these distractions.
Gifts. And we're abusing our gifts. We're literally just abusing the gift of our bodies, the gift of our minds, our spirit, our psyche. We just trash them. And it's
People
sad.
always ask how to connect more with their clairs, their clairaudience or their clairsentience. And my first thing is, what are you putting in your body? How much sleep are you getting? How much water are you drinking? This is our tool and this is how we function. And it is important. I'm not saying that anybody needs to go on a 1,200 calorie diet and work out 7 days a week. But what I'm saying is what we do with our tool affects our spiritual growth. That's my point.
Absolutely. It's about setting goals and actionable steps
Actionable
that
steps.
makes sense for you and your lifestyle.
Perfect. Yeah. Yeah.
And again, this is something Capricorn doesn't do. Leave wiggle room and buffer time for life to throw curveballs at you. Be realistic in your expectations of yourself.
Seriously.
Do not write down in your journal. If you haven't been working out at all, do not write down, I'm going to work out once a day, every day for no,
Seriously.
that's okay. No, you're not.
It's okay.
Start
and if you
by
need the
saying
Cherry
once
Garcia,
a week. Like,
right. And if you need the Cherry Garcia, eat the Cherry Garcia.
Yes.
But did you meditate that day? Like, these are the things, you know, like, what are you doing every day to move the needle forward, as small or as big as you want it to be?
Absolutely.
That's the point.
I love this. This was such a powerful episode. I can feel it in my bones. I was so excited to see that it literally worked out this way, everybody. I love Spirit. It just worked out this way. I was like, I get to have my episode with Ashley on New Year's Eve. It's for the Capricorn new moon. I knew that we were going to be able to offer that steamy, steamy hot tea that you maybe didn't want, but you needed.
But you gonna get it.
Might have burned a little bit.
Exactly. Burns for us too. You just gotta keep on pushing.
Oh, yes. Oh, this was amazing. Thank you so much for coming on as always.
Of course.
Ashley, going into the new year, please let us all know how we can follow you and support your work.
Yes. You can follow me on StarSeedShadows. You can follow me on YouTube, StarSeedShadows. I have a new podcast coming out. The show notes, it'll be in the show notes. The link will be in there and all that. And I guess we could talk more about that on our next episode too. But
I cannot wait for your show.
It's going to be so good. That's what's going on with me. I do have some new offers coming out. It's New Year's Eve when you guys are listening to this. So just be watching my content over the next week or two to kind of see what I have going on and what's happening for me and the evolution of StarSeedShadows as we move into 2022.
Hell yes. All right, everybody. This was amazing. You're amazing. We'll see you on the other side next year. All right. Stay magical out there. Hey, thanks for listening to this week's episode of That Witch Podcast. If you enjoyed what you heard here today, I would be really grateful if you would head over to iTunes right now and leave a super nice 5-star review. You can follow me on Instagram and TikTok at thatwitch.nextdoor. I love connecting with all of you outside the show. Keep those questions, keep those comments coming. You can send fan art, suggestions for topics on the show. You can nominate people to be interviewed on the show. Send anything like that to thatwitchnextdoor@gmail.com. And if you'd like to work together, I am offering a really amazing mentorship program. I'm only offering a very, very limited number of spots. You can submit your application and learn more on my website. And you can also book a one-on-one session with me at thatwitchnextdoor.com. Thank you so much again, and I'll see you all next week.